if you're seeing more HPPD injury in overlapping areas where the sprayer might have overlapped, that's a pretty sure sign it is HPPD. Hi, my name is Jake Vossenkemper, Director of Agronomy and Research here at Liqui-Grow.
Hi, I'm Katie Hess, Director of Sales and Marketing here at Liqui-Grow. Dr. Jake, we did not have a ton of snowfall here. In general, we did not have a ton of snowfall in the Midwest. With that limited moisture, we could have carryover from some of last year's herbicides.
Yeah, we could. There's a lot of talk about that. I think it's going to be really dependent on your specific geography. You know, here in eastern Iowa, we had a reasonably wet fall. We've been dry over the winter, but we've kind of got some rain now. But up in north central Iowa, it's been pretty dry for quite a while, right? Generally, right? And so herbicide carryovers could be an issue, and you need so yes.
So should the farmers be worried about the beans that they planted last year or the cornfields that they planted last year for carryover, or both?
Could be worried about both. So one thing I would be looking out for is HPPD inhibitor carryover in soybean. Okay, you can apply HPPD inhibitors in corn, but soybeans are not labeled for that. And what you're going to be looking for is in higher pH areas, whitening around the veins of the newly developing leaves on the soybean plant. Okay.
My experience has shown that herbicide carryover is not something that is uniform across an entire field.
No.
There's parts of the field that often will show and express this a little bit more than others.
Yeah, you're going to see HPPD injury, carryover injury, isolated to the higher pH areas in the field. And that might be associated with soil type. It could be associated with sidewalls. It could be associated with lots of things. I mean, in the first place, you should, if you're seeing more HPPD injury in overlapping areas where the sprayer might have overlapped, that's a pretty sure sign it is HPPD inhibitor injury, right? I would be looking for atrazine carryover in soybean as well. That's going to look somewhat similar to HPPD inhibitor injury. It's pretty hard to differentiate. Atrazine will tend to be a little more yellow, but it will also occur around the leaf margins. So atrazine, HPPD carryover in soybean, that'd be my concerns there.
How about on the corn side? Any carryover for soybeans?
On the corn side, you would be worried about some ALS inhibitors. You would be worried about fomasafe, and that's probably not a big worry because we're not using those chemistries anymore to try to trophy hunt water hemp that are out of control, right? So that's probably not a huge concern.
Trophy hunt the water hemp, okay.
In July. So that's probably not a huge concern, but fomasafe could be an issue, maybe.
And oftentimes with corn, if it looks a little sick in the springtime, the best thing to do is dig a couple up, and look at the roots.
Yeah.
Right? Seems like on corn, you might want to look at the roots a little bit.
And that's the ALS injury that if that happens. I mean, with ALS, you're going to see stunted plants that just aren't growing normally. You're going to have bottle brush root syndrome. That's a telltale sign. But if you have parts of fields that just aren't taking off, perhaps the lower leaves have some purpling in them, those are kind of your signs. Go look at the roots, right? And then if you see bottle brush roots, then you do have ALS inhibitor carryover injury. That could be associated with, probably is associated with higher or lower pHs. Oftentimes it's associated with tillage or lack of tillage. So oftentimes you won't see ALS inhibitor injury on the end rows, maybe where there was some tillage done, but you will see ALS inhibitor injury out in the main part of the field where there was less tillage done or no tillage done. So those are some things to look for. I wouldn't be losing sleep over it, but there could be some places where it could be a concern.
Okay, Jake, is there anything else that you're thinking about as you're getting ready for spring?
Well, Katie, I guess if we want to keep these videos under 5 minutes, that's probably enough, don't you think?
Sure, and I'm sure you're ready to get back into work.
I am ready to get back and work on my planter.
Actually, I think you're ready to watch your crew work on your planter.
Well, that's partial.
Stay in the know with Liqui-Grow.